just like that, the 7th year was over. We've done a whole Hogwarts career in Co-Pilots podcasts.
What school year would our podcast be in now?
Well, 7. Oh, school year. Sorry, I thought you meant still relating to Hogwarts. Was it? Oh,
No, it's only 7 years old. It wouldn't be at Hogwarts yet.
What? Were you, how old are you? You're what? That's year 2? Is it year 2, year 3?
Well, you start
7 in...
receptions year like 4 years old, 5 years old.
Yeah. Trying to think now.
I'm trying to reverse maths it, and
I think you're year 2, year 3. If you're 7.
because I was 11 when I started secondary school.
I thought you said this podcast.
I'm currently 11. And that was in. I mean, I'm not going to say it out loud. But I know what it was.
1899.
Yeah. So I was 11 when I started secondary school, and that was 2002. And then I was 7 in 97.
This is thrilling listening.
So that is 5 years? Oh man, maths is hard.
Anyway.
Yeah, so it's in a school. It's still in primary school. That's...
Yeah.
Right, it's going to go to big school in 4 years.
Do you think we'll get there? Do you think we'll get to season 11?
If The Walking Dead can do it.
And let's be fair, at points we have been more and less entertaining than The Walking Dead over the 7 years we've been doing this show.
Yeah, I mean, more intelligible, easier to follow. It's just telly, innit?
Yeah. So, obviously, it being New Year's Eve, we are taking part in our now 7-year-old tradition of picking our top 5 shows from all of the shows that we've watched this year. What I think we'll do is...
I haven't actually put mine in order.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is wait for you to put yours in order, and then what we're going to do, I think we'll do our honourable mentions, so things that that were good but didn't quite get into our top 5 list. And then the agreement is that if one of us mentions a show that the other has higher up in their list, we'll skip that person's go and then talk about it when we come to the higher scoring position.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
and we've got our other classic rule of if you've already seen it,
it cannot
be in
be.
your top 5.
Yeah, it can. Hence why Midnight Mass is not top of my list because it's
hence why Fresh Prince of Bel-Air just isn't going to appear in anyone's list because everybody's seen all of it and it's the best.
Okay, so what we'll do? Let's start with your honourable mentions. Have you got any? Because a minute ago you were scrabbling to come up with 5 shows.
Yes, I have 4 honourable mentions.
Okay, what do we have?
So Ted Lasso made it on the list because I really enjoyed it and it subverted my expectations.
Uh-huh.
But I've still only seen 1 episode, so it can get in the bin. By the bin, I mean the bin next to everything else that we've watched this year that's already in the bin, apart from this list of 9 shows. And then also Marianne, because it was spooky the first time I watched it on my own at 1:30 in the morning.
Yep.
But the second time we watched it all together,
not scary.
Not
in
so
the
scary.
slightest. Okay, so we've got Ted Lasso and Marianne. You said you had 4 honourable mentions, did you? Okay.
Bel-Air.
Bloody hell! I'm wondering what's made it into your list.
It's a good list. You're gonna I think, agree with a lot of my list.
Okay, well that's interesting.
Because I really enjoyed Bel-Air.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed some of the other things more. That's it. Bel-Air's really good for a remake as well. It's not even a remake; it's a reimagining. But
yeah.
And then Outer Range as well, because
Outer Range. Oh my god, yeah.
I know because it's only an honorable mention because I've not watched more of it.
That's
really
the point.
good.
That's something I've just realised is that Outer Range doesn't appear in my top 5 because I had seen the first episode by the time it came around to recording because I watched it on the plane coming back from my honeymoon. My God, yeah. Oh, what a fantastic show. Well,
To be fair, that was still only this year.
Yeah, but I'm sticking with the rule that I watched it beforehand, and that's why Dark isn't in there, Lupin isn't in there. Okay, cool. So that's your honourable mentions. You had what was it? It was Marianne, Ted Lasso, Bel Air, and Outer Range.
Yeah. So none of those appear in your top 5.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So my honourable mentions. Okay, so you're gonna have to bear with me on some of these. Okay, so honourable mention number 1, I had My Name is Earl. I don't remember a huge amount about the show. In fact, I sort of do. I remember laughing a lot at the show and it being a bit of fresh air because we don't often do a lot of sitcoms. We do a lot of dramas and stuff and a lot of murder shows and that sort of thing, crime shows. So when we do sitcoms, it's a little palate cleanser almost, I think. I just really liked how My Name is Earl was put together. So I did really enjoy it.
I think I finished season 1.
Oh, did you?
But I'd already seen bits and pieces of it. So.
Yeah, it was all over E4 when we were at uni, wasn't it? So.
Yeah.
Another one I've gotten. I'd crossed this one out. Babylon Berlin. It went on my honourable mentions list, and then I realised I cannot remember a single thing about it. So I'm just gonna.
I think I can tell you where it's set and what language it's in.
Go on.
I think it's set in Paris and it's in French. Am I right?
I think it's roughly it's there or thereabouts. Yeah, part of it's coming back to me now. There's something about a train. I don't know. But yeah, I at the time I think I liked it. Can't remember it now. Another one I've got, and this is despite the casting of its 2 leads, I've got Carnival Row.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Honorable mention. It was a bit darker than I was anticipating because it looked like it was made for the Twilight audience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I mean. That's why I hadn't watched it prior.
Yeah, but no, half decent.
Half decent, but neither of us watched it.
And then my next honourable mention is another show that I can't really remember, but it's cool.
Is it in Italian?
Yes, The Trial. That is in Italian, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yes, no, that was good. Yeah, I'm just looking up on IMDb and just trying to remind myself of it. I did really enjoy that, but it didn't quite make the top 5, but I remember it being a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, between that and the fact that you can't read.
A controversial one for another honourable mention is Borgen, one that I seem to remember you hated and I really, really enjoyed.
Oh no, that's the political one that I thought was boring.
Yeah. Then
I think hated was probably a strong word, but I was disinterested.
Oh, that's better.
But not occupied, where Russia invades somewhere, because what we needed was something that wasn't happening in real life.
Yeah, a bit close, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then finally, I'll speed through these because I realise I'm taking up a lot of time on honourable mentions. Wheel of Time. Not top 5, but still very nice. Very good, very nice.
Very pretty. I like it.
Outer Range and It's a Sin.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, I really
I can now
liked
see why
it,
you were umming and ahhing about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Okay, so let's drill down into the top 5 then. Let's start with your 5th top show.
My 5th top show was Dark.
Ah, yes. So we can talk about Dark because, as previously mentioned, I had already seen the first episode. I think I'd watched it. It was my 3rd time watching the first episode when we recorded. But yeah, we've just finished recording the episode about 1899, which is made by the same people. Dark was, I think it was the first show of this year that I actually went through the entire thing of. In fact, it might be the only show. Oh no, that's not true. Yeah.
I've got at least 5 shows that I watched all the way. That's the thing. Dark's weird because I've watched the whole of the first season.
Yeah.
But the other shows, I think they're on the list. I think are also, most of them are only 1 season long anyway.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, because there was a lot of stuff this year that was
It was
generally
cancelled quite
quite
early.
new or cancelled quite early.
Yeah.
But I've only watched the first season of Dark, but it was really good.
Dark is phenomenal, and from what I understand, is it doesn't actually lose its thread. Like, it does all tie back together really quite nicely. So yeah, so complicated. Like, I get stressed thinking about how they thought up how everybody interconnects, and then you've got characters who turn out to be existing in one timeline, and then also you meet them later down the line, so you have two actors playing the same character at certain points.
How very House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. Okay, well, go on. More thoughts about Dark then, because I've waffled on. This is your top 5.
I know. I'm just disappointed that I haven't watched more of it, and I think we were just talking about like how difficult we think it would be to go back to.
I think I can remember more of it than I realise. Like, I think if I could just, there probably exists a season 1 recap.
Oh, there will be. I think there's a YouTube channel that's somewhere that just summarises seasons of TV shows.
Okay, well, that actually would be really handy for going into Dark.
Yeah. I watched a Walking Dead one for season 10 because I couldn't be bothered to watch it.
I might do that for the rest of the series.
Yeah, well, I think, I want to watch more of it, but it's one of those ones that you need to be in like the right sort of headspace for.
You need to
be up for concentrating.
I can remember making notes. I had a notebook where I would watch it and I would make a note of everything that was happening, because I was like, this has to stay in my brain.
And as we know, that brain is a sieve.
Well, here's the thing. I've forgotten what I've done with that notebook.
Christ.
Yeah, it's not good, is it?
No,
I'm starting to wonder.
Genuinely something wrong with you, I think.
It might be at my old work, I'm just realising, because that's the last time I remember having it. Oh, that'd be really sad if it's
awkward conversation. Like, excuse me, can I go back? I think I've left a TV notebook here.
Well, particularly because like I had some short stories that I'd written in there as well. That's going to be really awkward.
Yeah, you'll go back and there'll be plaster around the office. And everyone will be like, oh, look at that Joe cunt.
And this is what he wrote before he turned the gun on himself.
I'd read that.
Okay, cool. So your number 5 spot is Dark.
Yes.
Okay.
What about yours? What's
My number 5 spot is, I think we're probably going to skip this one because I've got a feeling it's going to appear in your list somewhere. So my 5th pick for this year was The Lord of the Rings.
Skip
Power.
it. Yeah, we'll be coming back to that one.
Cool. Okay, your number 4.
Was actually Reacher.
Yeah, it's a surprise, isn't it? I remember we spoke about Reacher not too long ago, and we were surprised at actually how consumable it is. It's like McDonald's, you know?
Yeah. I think you actually described him as a flag smasher.
Flag shagger it was, yeah.
It
would have been flag shagger.
same idea.
Yeah.
But I think it was so weird because that was the Terminal List and Reacher was a perfect pairing. Like, patriots doing patriotic things for obviously good reasons. But one of them was shite and one of them was Reacher.
Oh man, Terminal List was so long, wasn't it, as well?
It was the same length as Reacher.
No.
I genuinely think they were both like hour-long episodes because they're both Amazon. Amazon don't really make much over an hour unless they make a film.
Yeah. But
it felt a lot long. And I finished Reacher. I think I'd actually finished it before we recorded. But it was start to finish. I'm excited that they're making a second season. And we all know that we co-pilots love a limited series. But I'm excited to see what they do for season 2. And the thing is, I know that there are books. I'm just not going to read them because I don't. It's the way it was filmed and there's humor all the way through it, despite it being quite a serious story. And it doesn't shy away from the fact that he is, for all intents and purposes, invincible.
Yeah, I think I've made my criticisms of Reacher quite clear as a character on that episode, but for all of the things I disliked about it, I did really quite like that show.
The trouble, everything that we slated Terminal List for, Reacher is the same show, but in a format that we enjoy, which is such a bizarre thing. It's like it almost makes me think that someone could turn Entourage into something that we liked.
Oh, I don't think they could.
If someone actually tried, but the trouble is, people's lazy. And on that note, what's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 was Bel Air.
Oh, that's higher up than I thought it would be for you.
Higher up as in what?
I didn't think it would make your
Top 5.
top 5.
Yeah, no, I really, really liked it. I think it's one of those things where you have to almost completely separate it from the Fresh Prince, even though obviously the only thing it really
It only really takes the names.
that's the thing, is like you could call those characters all completely different names and it would be a perfectly good show. It's just the fact that it's got the Fresh Prince link to it. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the music is incredible. It's
I've got the playlist on
soundtrack.
Spotify that I dip into
Yeah.
every so often.
In fact, I'm going to listen to that when I'm working tomorrow. I've just decided. Yeah, I just really, really liked it. I thought it was
Did you watch all of it?
very watchable. No, I got a few episodes in. I did watch probably half of it, I think. I did get a fair way through it.
I think it's good because it's on a bit of it's essentially the same story, but like
Condensed.
much darker and condensed as well. Because
So,
they
yeah.
hit the dad stuff early. By early,
Yes,
I mean in episode 10.
I remember
but
you saying.
early.
Yeah, I don't think I got to the bit where his dad comes into it, so I'm not sure how far through that is.
If you don't have the time, I would recommend just watching. I think it's the last episode, but maybe I'll dip through and try and find you a time code for where it kicks off, because it's the scene that made me go, oh, they're doing like, this is proper drama. It's not like, because I get it could have come across gimmicky
Yeah,
and very like, here are some storylines that we feel we have to sort of stitch in because we've got the platform to. And obviously, like, it being like a reimagining of Fresh Prince gives it such a big platform before it even runs.
yeah.
So, do you remember when they made, because this is all like some guy made a trailer for like a darker, like more real Fresh Prince,
What, and that's what it came back to?
and then Will Smith saw it.
No way. Is
And
that
went
how it
and
got
talked to
made?
them. And I'm pretty sure he promoted it on like his YouTube channel, and then Peacock picked it up.
That is incredible.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the story behind it. And like, it's to come from that to like 10, about an hour long episodes of that quality
Yeah.
is incredible. And that's the thing, they could leave it there. I hope they don't, but they could. And it's quite a nice sort of like self-contained Will's in Bel Air. Like, it's really good. And also the new Jeffrey is my favourite.
Yes, that is a point I was going to bring up, is that he's fucking cool as shit.
Like, he's not even a butler, he's a fixer.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my number 4. You're number 3.
Ooh, I'll have to unlock my phone again.
I see. I've written this on traditional paper with a pen.
Well, my number 3 is Rings of Power.
Okay, go on then.
I'm sure you're surprised that it's so low
I was
down in
about
my
to
list.
say that's surprisingly low.
I know. I think it's just I've watched a couple better shows.
Yeah.
Obviously, because this is third. Like, if you can do basic maths, you could work out how many shows I think I've watched that are better than this year.
I mean, you did try and work out how old a 7-year-old is in school, and you couldn't do it. So.
No, I know a 7-year-old is 7 in school, but I couldn't work out what year they were in.
Yeah, you know what I meant.
I knew what you meant, but if you can pedant, I can pedant. I learned from the best. It's you.
Rings of Power.
That's the nicest thing I've ever said.
It is, and it felt odd.
Yeah, I don't like
I don't
it.
like this. Chrissy, wake up. Okay.
Stranger Things season 4 would have been on here.
Well, I mean, we couldn't have had that on there.
No, because it's not a pilot episode, because it's season 4.
You know what? That just on a very quick tangent. The finale of Stranger Things season 4, it really reminded me of like Endgame, like because it was like
It felt epic, didn't it?
yeah, that culmination and bringing together of all those characters in the end. It was great, actually. It's the season 4 Stranger Things. Apart from the fucking Joyce, Yuri, and the other cunt, what's his name? Can't remember. That storyline needs to get in the bin. But the other stuff with the kids is fucking awesome. The show wanted it to be 2 series ago.
Yeah, it does feel like they could have just not had 2 and 3, but and just gone straight to 4. But
2 and 3 are the same story. It's mad.
yeah. Anyway, Rings of Power.
Yeah. Go on.
It's Lord of the Rings. I enjoyed it. Thought it was really good. I watched it twice in quite quick succession because
You watched it and then I watched it and you joined me for the watching of it.
yeah, I think there was only like 3 or 4 episodes that we didn't watch party. Which, I mean, to be fair, I really enjoyed like getting to see your reaction to some events while that I already knew about was really like good fun. I can't tell if I enjoyed the show as much as I enjoyed like watch partying it, but I think I did.
Yeah, that's why it was quite high on my, quite low on my list, is because I think it really fumbled a couple of reveals and like just got the pacing wrong on a couple of bits there. But and actually, when I think about it, there is a character of the elf dude. I can't remember his name, but I just did not care for his character in the slightest.
Yeah, like Legolas in The Hobbit. You just don't need to be there.
Yeah, but no, it was really nice to go back to Middle Earth, and Morvith Clark is fucking incredible. And again, you need to watch Saint Maud because it's a masterpiece, and she is brilliant in it.
Yeah, it's on it. That is on a list somewhere with Midsummer as well.
Oh, Christ!
Like things that I'll get round to. But
Midsummer's I'm not sure I ever actually want to see Midsummer ever again. Like it's a lot.
How good a mood do you have to be in at the start to like be alive at the end?
You have to have fucking won the lottery, and then you're skipping home to the smell of freshly baked cherry pie, and the sun's out, and there's rabbits running around the lawn, and you have to be in a really good mood for the first 20 minutes.
Okay, that's quite that. I thought you were just going to be like, yeah, quite good.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
Cool. Maybe I'll enjoy it. But yeah, Lord of the Rings, it's just, I don't think I'll ever be mad about more Lord of the Rings content. However loosely based on an appendix of a book it is.
Yeah.
Like, I understand some of the problems that people had with it, because there are a couple of bits they play a bit fast and loose with. But if the Tolkien estate won't give them the rights to the Silmarillion, then what are they going to do? And it's good. And there were some of the other problems that people had with it that I just don't see. Lenny Henry is a great hobbit.
Yeah, it was a laugh. I thought he was really good.
After the first time I saw him, I forgot he was Lenny Henry.
Yeah. Like, if you can fucking see it and just have a big troll in it for a bit, you can just, park that it's Lenny Henry. It's no biggie at all.
Yeah, I don't think that was actually. I don't think Lenny Henry was people's problem with it. I think it was the way Lenny Henry looks. But those people aren't fans, so fuck them.
I just don't understand how you can have like dragons and shit that can't exist, and your problem is the color of the skin of the people that appear in this fucking fantasy show. It is unbelievable. But you know, yeah, I did like it. I just didn't love it. Like I think, like I said, the reveal of the stranger, I think they really, really fumbled, which is crazy. That you know you have that running all the way through it, and then at the final hurdle, you just get it slightly wrong. Because it was doing quite a good job of wrong-footing everybody. It was like, okay, so there's a list of people that he could turn out to be. And
I think that episode, basically, the finale of it narrows it down to 2.
Yeah. But yeah.
And then, I think, while I do think they fumbled that, I think their Sauron reveal was really, like, nice and subtle.
Yeah.
Because I think...
Had I not seen a spoiler, I think it would have caught me like, oh, shit.
Because I caught... There was a line in... when they're talking about, like, the wave crashing over Numenor.
Yeah.
I was just like... Because they say an elf. They don't say you, where referring to Galadriel. And I was like, oh, shit, is Sauron going to come back later as an elf? However, he wasn't an elf. But I think it implies that they're not sure, like, that they, like, those two arriving is the thing that's going to cause the downfall of Numenor. But they assume that it's because she's an elf, not because the thing that I've tried to be and avoid spoiling. The man that goes with her to Numenor is maybe
not necessarily to be trusted.
Yeah. But it was because in the finale I caught his, like, there are just lines that they reuse, and I was just like, it's not even when he reuses the line that they've obviously set up to be like the reveal. It's when he's like, call it a gift, and I'm just like, oh, it's fucking you. And I really enjoyed that, and just Elrond and Balin. Like,
yeah, they were fun.
Yeah, it was all very fun and, like, just nice and not too dark. Not because the rest of my top 5 are looking pretty pretty dire. What is your numero 3?
I've got a very recent one, 1899.
Oh, I can't imagine we'd have much to say about that. Maybe about 14 minutes worth of a podcast.
I'm guessing it doesn't appear on your list.
It does not,
okay.
Sadly.
So, I mean, like, we have very, very recently spoken about this, but the fact that it sets up just enough mystery to keep you wondering what it is, but then setting up what is probably a very big mind-bending-y thing, because that's what these guys have done in the past, is like, it's Dark was a huge time travel narrative, and I feel like the fact that it's called 1899 is making me think that it's going to be something similar, but I don't think they're just going to be doing the same old thing again. So,
Dimensions.
There you go. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I want to know. I've got a sneaking suspicion that there's like a Lovecraftian style thing gonna happen, like maybe Cthulhu shows up or something. But like, I think there's gonna be
the best wank you've ever had.
There's gonna be reference to, like, the old gods and shapes and colours from outer space that you can't possibly conceive of, so you go mad and that's
deep dark fantasy. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite interesting to see them, because Dark is quite a sci-fi more orientated show, so it'd be quite interesting to see them do like a dark
out
fantasy.
and out horror fantasy thing. Yeah. And like I said, one of the closest comparisons I can draw it to is Event Horizon, which actually, as I think about it, is a very, very heavily Lovecraftian influenced film. So Event Horizon's about a ship that it develops faster than light travel, but then it just disappears, and there's this other ship who's just trawling through space who they just happen across it. They just find this abandoned ship, the Event Horizon, and then it goes on to be revealed that the way that they developed faster than light travel wasn't through scientific means. It was just that the ship would literally open portals to hell and then come through the other side. So the ship's gone through hell and then it's shown up again, and there are remnants of hell still on the ship. It's a fascinating film. But yeah, a huge parallel to 1899 with the missing ship. And also it reminded me a bit of The Terror, just
I can see that.
Because there's something underlying, something potentially supernatural underlying in The Terror that I think, it's put me in mind of that. So yeah, that's my number 3 is 1899.
Oh, very exciting. We're into the good stuff.
Top 2 territory. Well, I mean, it's all good. So
yeah, because we watch like 52 shows a year.
Yeah, 52.
To narrow that down to like
5,
the best 10%.
Yeah.
And there's actually a surprising lack of overlap so far this year.
Well, what's amazing... we'll get to this. Yeah, I have a point to make, but what's your number 2?
Oh, my number 2 is one that you couldn't have, but I know you would have put it right at the top.
Is it Midnight Mass?
It's Midnight Mass. So fucking good.
I recorded a podcast last week with a hero of mine, a guy called Mike Munzer, who records the Evolution of Horror podcast. And we were talking about Mike Flanagan and Midnight Mass. And I was telling him that after 29 years walking this earth, I have decided that Midnight Mass is my favourite story ever told. Just because it was like Mike Flanagan made it for me. Like there are certain things that I've had similar ideas on about the church and various makeup of creatures that may appear in the Bible. Plus you throw in, a huge dollop of Stephen King, and it's basically the show that I could ever want. So go on, tell me what you think of Midnight Mass then.
It's going to be hard to eloquently follow up that, but I just
thought it was good.
Start to end, loved it. It was really good. It was enough. There were enough twists that it stopped it being super predictable.
Yeah. It doesn't show its hand until nearly halfway through the show.
No, there are obvious things that you catch early on, oh wow, I think some of the people on this island in the middle of nowhere might be racist.
Yeah, that occurs quite early on. In fact, I think it's
episode
the
1.
First scene that Sheriff Hassan is in, because Bev comes up and has a go at Joe Corley's dog.
Yeah. But what I think really enjoyed is that while there's a supernatural story in the background, there's a lot of just very human stories as well.
Yeah.
And having the two things at play at the same time could detract from one another, and they do in quite a lot of other shows. They struggle to keep the background stuff ticking while giving you well-written human stories. But this strikes the perfect balance, and was just I don't think it took me very long to finish it. Because
roughly 7 episodes.
Roughly 7 episodes, which is still in a day's work, really, isn't it? I mean, I guess roughly ballpark it, because we We recorded the podcast on the 8th of June. And when did I add it to the other spreadsheet? I'll just open that up. But in the meantime, I'll keep trying to talk while I read through this massive list of TV shows that I've watched this year.
I think it's also got one of the best endings to any story I've ever seen as well. The sort of the last line of the hymn just not being sung, and then it just showing the entire island, as it sort of, the camera leaves Crockett Island. I think it's perfect. There's, I think there are some completely justified criticisms of it, in so much as there is a one particular episode quite in the middle where one character has like a 5-minute monologue and then says, "And what do you think?" And then the character they're talking to has another 5-10 minute monologue, which I completely understand why that would frustrate some people, but I'm given the content of what they're saying and what they're discussing, I think it fits quite nicely, and I didn't have a huge problem with it, and like I say, it's my favourite show, it's my favourite story, it's my favourite thing ever.
Yeah, and yet you've got Rick and Carl tattooed on your arm.
Well, you had the idea that I get Hassan and Ali, and that will be my next one when I have some money. So
yeah, you just need to get some money. What would your number 2 look like?
My number 2 comes in the style of handsome Brett Goldstein, handsome Jason Sudeikis, and fit as fuck Hannah Waddingham with Ted Lasso.
That is surprisingly high up.
Yeah.
It's a sports show, right?
Well, it isn't though, is it? Because,
no, it isn't.
Like the best stories about sports, they're not actually about the sport itself. I just think it's like, the way it's shaping up, I think it's just going to be a show about positivity and being nice and having a positive mental attitude, and the fact that it starts as a fish out of water, American football coach comes over to teach a soccer team. I think it's going to go to some interesting places.
I watched those like top 5 lists are like top 5 like characters with surprisingly dark backstories.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso's on that.
Oh really? Okay. Well, I
think it was something like that. It was either not just his backstory, but like his like understory that isn't the football team stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and also being a big fan of Brett Goldstein, like I was a fan of Brett Goldstein's like stand up and then podcasts before he became Emmy award winning Brett Goldstein. So watching him is always a joy. But yeah, I'm really intrigued to see where it goes. And I mean, I think I'm gonna have to just set aside a week to get the free trial for Apple TV and just blitz through as much of it as possible.
Yeah. I think something that I like that I've only just really clocked that I like is that the fish out water thing is not normally Americans coming to Britain. It's normally Brits going to America.
Yeah,
and it's quite nice to have it that way around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the point. I think it then does give us license to show that actually we're complete bastards. Like, all you have to do to figure out the difference between like British sports fans and American sports fans, go on TikTok and look up UK versus US chants, and I mean, that will do the work for you.
Yeah, American football chants are always quite general and very positive, cheering for their own team,
triumphant. It's not.
Whereas British sport fans are cheering at the other team, calling them names and wishing death upon them. Or
claiming that Jimmy Savile fingered their mum, which is one that I particularly enjoyed this morning when I found it on TikTok. So that's my number 2. We come now to your number 1 spot, and what I really like about this is I've got absolutely zero idea what you're about to say.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, hang on. Maybe I do. It depends on the release, but go on.
Well, obviously, the most coveted of things in the TV making world is to have your show be one of the number ones
Sure.
on Copilot. It's all they really aim for. It's all anyone makes telly for.
I mean, we mentioned Emmys previously. That's Tish and Pish. We find them embarrassing, Emmys. What you really want.
Yeah, because you give Emmys to one person. We're awarding a show with literally nothing but free airtime. My number one of the year, Years and Years.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot. Right, so because I had to disqualify that, I completely forgot that we did that this year.
And Years.
Yeah, it was ineligible for mine because I'd watched half of it prior to recording. But yeah, I have since finished the entire thing. Jesus, does that go places?
That's the thing. You finished in a weird spot because the first half is very like, oh, okay, I can see how this is ramping up. And then the second half is just like, what in the fuck is happening? And it's what I didn't realize I wanted was a Black Mirror-esque story that's not just an hour.
Yeah, it literally goes on for... Was it? We weren't figured out. It's over the course of something like 11 years
It's
or
10
something?
or 11 years. And it's just the slow build of like, oh, well, we'll just tinker a little bit there and like see what happens. And then 6 episodes, like, because I started watching it for the podcast the day we were recording it, I think. And by the time it came time to record, I'd already finished it because I just actually couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Because every ending led me to like but what next? Because the endings are always like something's just happened, and then it cuts. And you're like, fuck you, tell me what happens. I would not have coped well watching that weekly.
No, I don't think I would have done either. I think we did start. I think maybe it didn't release all at once on the BBC. Maybe it was weekly.
No, it wouldn't. Not BBC. BBC want to get their money's worth by releasing it
Yeah.
once a week. But it's phenomenal. Everyone involved was brilliant.
Yeah.
All the things they got right are terrifying.
Yes, particularly even to the point where, I mean, it was, this year, we started hearing about monkeypox. And in the show, the final episode, there's a thing about monkey flu. It's just...
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
What I found like the worst is that they came in a couple early for a couple of things. But also in real life, we've come in a couple early for a couple of things. And I'm like, oh, don't be doing that. I've seen where that leads. And I don't want Russell Tovey to die in the channel.
That was the worst. That was the worst part of it for me, I think.
That's the thing.
The way that channel crossing's done.
Because obviously they launch Into the Sea in one episode, and I was like, I mean, it's Russell Tovey. He's going to be fine. He was a werewolf. Like, he's going to be fine because he's what I think was one of like the bigger names in the show.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, they're not just going to like, and it's halfway through, like, his death's going to be, if he dies, it's a finale thing. And then it's the next episode and you see like, oh, his nice man on the sides on the beach. That's good. That fills me with confidence. Oh, that's Russell Tovey. Oh, they're putting little crime things by. Oh, that doesn't look good.
I think it's the other way around. I think you see Daniel before you see Victor. Because I remember he came out, I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh my God, where's Victor? And then Victor just stood next to him. I was like, okay, well, at least he's alive.
Yeah, I can't remember the order. Although there was a thing in that annoyed me, is that Daniel's character, Daniel makes a very big point about taking his shoes off when he's getting into the boat because he wants to have dry shoes at the other side.
Is he
Apparently
wearing
at the
shoes?
other side, he's wearing shoes.
Oh, yeah.
It's bloody disappointing.
Oh, well.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that's not my number one show of the year. My number one show of the year is...
Entourage.
I'm trying to pick one. Oh, what was really shit? Not much of it. Oh, we watched Snowpiercer this year. Fucking hell.
That was a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Years
but
and years. It's. I don't know as if we'll ever see another show like it. It's incredible. Like I think,
and just bizarrely, a BBC show
I think
of like that quality as well.
yeah, I think it's quite underrated. Like, but I think, you know, when they do those things of like, oh, you know, really influential TV and stuff like that. I think when we look back, in the same way that we do for sort of Children of Men, is that Children of Men was released and not very much fanfare, and now it's sort of looked back on in great reverence because it was doing some incredible stuff.
Really,
I think
it's sort of the same with Gilmore Girls. Not in quite the same like impact way, but like very little. Like their viewing figures weren't fantastic at the time,
but its fan base are rabid.
Don't know what you mean. Paladinos, if you're listening, more please.
Yeah, come on. It's been what, 6 years? Come on.
Yeah,
we need a bit more.
I know you're busy making another show that I fucking love, but come on.
Yeah, years and years is. I think it's gonna. Yeah, I think its legacy will be far bigger than it is now.
It'll be the thing. It'll be like the thing that you hold up and go, "This predicted this would happen."
I genuinely wonder, actually, if the pandemic hadn't happened, I think it might have done better, because while we were so distracted with it, we probably weren't looking back at stuff that, you know, was predicting big things like that. And then it's one of its biggest predictions. One of the biggest, the biggest world event that we've lived through, probably, doesn't appear in it. And I wonder if that's harmed it in some way.
I don't know, because it does get like some other things right. Like it predicts like 2024 or 2025, like Roe v. Wade gets overturned. Yeah, but, you know, we jumped early on that, and
yeah.
I was about to make a fucking horrendous joke that I'll just leave that in the brain. Yeah, what's your number one? Because I can't think of anything but that fucking awful joke.
So what you're about to discover is that 3 of your honourable mentions have made it into my top spots.
Is it Marianne?
It's Marianne. Of course it is. How could it be anything other than Marianne? So,
I think genuinely the texts that we sent each other while you just finished Marianne and I was just watching it are some of my favourite texts that we've ever sent each other.
That's exactly why it's number 1. Is because I watched it and I was fucking terrified. And then I just text you like, oh, mate, I'm really, like, I think I even said, like, I'm struggling to sleep because it's like, it's bothering me so much. And your reply was, I'm so glad you told me that, and then sent me a picture of you watching it. It's like, when I have fucking half an hour left to go.
Yeah, that's the thing. You nailed it, like perfect timing. I'm currently just trying to find it in our WhatsApp.
But again, it was really bizarre going back and watching it the second time with everybody and just not finding it scary in the slightest. That was really peculiar, because having found it so scary, and I guess it probably does come just from having watched it at night, you know, quite late. I think Lise watched it with me as well. And just because when you're a horror fan, you realise that what you're looking for is to be that scared that you're... And particularly, like, where I wear glasses and my eyesight's not great, I'm really good at making it something in a dark room look like something that's potentially very threatening. So I'm very, very good at spotting people's silhouettes at the foot of the bed or in the corner of a room when I've not got my glasses on and it's dark. So having watched Marianne that freaked me out so badly, what you realise is that actually that's what you're looking for as a horror fan, and it's not very many things that get to do that to you. And I think this year, Marianne is the only thing that I've seen that's managed to get under my skin in quite that way. There's other horror films I've watched that have, like, there was one in particular called Speak No Evil that it didn't scare me. It just straight up upset me because it was like so horrible at the end. But nothing scared me in the way that Marianne did. And I just fucking loved it for that.
Yeah. I've just I found the text. So it's 6:00. Lisa and I are watching Marianne. If this isn't my top 5 for season 7, we're going to have had a brilliant year.
Well, there we go. I mean, it was in my top 5, but we did have a brilliant year.
Yeah. And then at 10-1, just a quick sit rep. I went to bed at 8, had a good few hours sleep, and now having to watch a Simpsons episode to try and calm down my brain because I am so freaked out by Marianne I can't sleep.
That's it.
I'm really glad you've told me that while I'm fucking watching it. Can I suggest you save it for daylight hours? Lise wasn't scared and it's absolutely fine.
Can you forward those on to me again, just so they're sort of bottom of the chat, so I can have a look at them again?
Yeah, I'll forward them all once I finish reading them. And because you said that Lisa wasn't scared, I say this makes me feel better about my choices. Unless the last 15 minutes horrific, I'll be okay. 50 minutes later, that might have been a mistake. And then I was just like, I want to watch episode 2, and I still haven't.
Oh, fantastic. I am going back to Marianne at some point, because there's no way that I can't finish that story. The trouble is it might necessitate watching episode 1 again.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that I think you'll only ever be able to watch once. Because I think that the problem with the episode 1, the second time, is that you know everything that happens. Like, there's nothing new.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even the first time you watch it, you know when she's standing at the top of the, like, the big empty vacuumous chamber hallway thing.
Yes.
You know what's coming, but the first time you think there's going to be something that stops it. The second time you've already seen it happen, you know it's coming. So I think the rewatch takes away something from the impact that you get for watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
But it might be the same with Lord of the Rings. I think I have much fonder memories of it because of like the interaction around it, which I think is genuinely something that I'm realizing, that like watching stuff with people is generally more fun than just watching stuff on your own. Like, I'm not going to stop watching stuff on my own, but like, I also still love watching, seeing people watch Gilmore Girls for the first time.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh, do you know what? This isn't too bad. And then being like, just you fucking wait, you'll hate Dean. And if you don't, red flag, you're not my friend.
So yeah, that about wraps us up for Series 7. So do you want to run through your top 5 list from top to bottom?
Top to bottom. Numero uno, Years and Years. Second place to Midnight Mass. Like, it's close between those two, but Years and Years edges it by just being darker. Rings of Power, because Lord of the Rings. Reacher, because good flag smashing. And Dark, because it'd be racist if I didn't put in a foreign thing.
Oh shit, that's a point. I've only got 18
Marianne's
multilingual. That's fine. So yeah, my 1 to 5 is 1 Marianne, 2 Ted Lasso, 3 1899, 4 Bel Air, and 5 Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. And
I'll tell you what, it'd be much quicker if we didn't talk about them, wouldn't it?
I'll tell you what though, as I said to you in that text, I think we have had a really good year with some really, really good stuff. As always, the stuff that I look forward to next year is the stuff that I haven't heard anything about, because that's when you find like the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so far, I think only 2 of those I've seen, which is like, it's a rare thing to like look. Oh wait, no, episode 22, Gilmore Girls, because that's episode 200.
Oh yeah, we're coming to our 200th episode.
Oh,
yeah.
that one you've just added. Could we move that up? Because that's already on my list of things that I want to watch.
Okay. I've started it, so
Yeah. But yeah, no, like next year, I hope is as good as this year.
yeah, there's some good stuff coming up of what we've got so far. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting one. And now on our spreadsheet, you can add the word "done" to season 7.
Oh, this is genuinely one of my favourite bits. And then you won't get to see it, but once I finish editing, I then zip up the whole folder for season 7 and it's just done. And it goes into my archive of done.
So yeah, we'll be back in the new year with season 8 of the Co-Pilots podcast.
Yeah, Happy New Year and that.
Happy New Merry New Year. Let's hope that there's not another pandemic or 9/11.